the Punchline. I'm your comic strip critic.
That took forever, didn't it? That's what reading a soap opera strip is like. A few weeks back, I divided comics into two broad categories, comedic and dramatic. I claimed that Crankshaft was a dramatic strip, and, well, that's kind of incorrect. Crankshaft actually straddles the line between comedic and dramatic, usually trying to err on the side of comedy. Trying is the key word in this case. Ah, no! More authentic examples of dramatic strips would be the so-called soap opera strips. The common examples of these would be Apartment 3G, Rex Morgan MD, and Judge Parker. All of these strips focus on long-term storylines, which are stretched across months of reading. Surprisingly, however, one of the websites I visited while doing research for this episode had the audacity to claim that, and I quote, Rex Morgan MD hits the eyeballs with the velocity of a Jerry Bruckheimer action film.
Every clue leads one step closer.
A letter sent by the Queen.
You're in danger. You've got to find wherever that leads before they do.
To unlocking the mystery the world isn't ready to believe.
Yeah, I'm not really buying that comparison. Then again, Rex Morgan was being compared to the original soap opera strip, which we'll be taking a look at today. This is Mary Worth. Mary Worth is a 60-some-year-old woman, and she has always been 60-some years old. She was 60-some years old when she first appeared in 1938, and she has been stuck at 60-some years old in the 74 years since then. She's been parodied a lot, whether it's The Carol Burnett Show, The Simpsons, Pearls Before Swine, or a whole lot of other things. And her history is the most complex I've had to cover on the show to date. I'll try and keep it simple. Mary's first appearance was in the 1932 strip Apple Mary, where, well, Mary sold apples. She was a side character there, but she got her very own strip when artist Dale Connor and writer Alan Saunders joined forces and took control in 1938. Connor was replaced by Ken Ernst in 1942, and Saunders and Ernst worked together until Saunders retired in 1979 and Ernst died in 1985. Other artists bounced in and out of the writer's seat until 1991, when former DC Comics artist Joe Giella permanently stepped in. Alan Saunders' son John was the writer from 1974, right up until his death in 2003 when Karen Moy took over. And so, that brings us up to today. Cliff's Notes version. Mary Worth is a spin-off of another strip, which has been through 3 writers and 5 artists since 1938. There are only a few strips out there which are more zombified than this one. That scares me. Soap opera strips are usually really slowly paced. That scares me even more. And Mary Worth is said to be one of the slowest paced soap opera strips in existence. And that thought makes me want to reach for my security blanket and stuff Tiger for safety. Well, you know, Karen Moy said that she wanted to kind of reverse that glacial pace and speed Mary Worth up a little bit. Let's rewind the clock back to 2011 and see how she does. Our tale begins when Mary remembers she left a sweater at a diner. At the same time, she remembers a missing girl poster she saw a week or so ago. And just as Mary heads off to the diner, that same missing girl pulls in with her incredibly obvious kidnapper. Don't you just love coincidences like that? You talk about someone and instantly they appear in front of you. Jennifer Aniston, Taylor Swift, Jennifer Aniston, Taylor Swift, Jennifer Aniston, Taylor Swift. Oh. Seriously though, look at this guy. Orange jacket that makes him look like he just broke out of prison, permanent 5 o'clock shadow, permanent sneer, cartoonishly rough with his hostage. This guy is so transparently evil that Lord Zed looks like a more subtle villain.
I'd better make sure I have everything. If I left anything by accident here at the hospital after forgetting my sweater at the diner, it would be a joke. Life already feels too much like a comic strip.
That would be an accurate statement if you were a comedy strip. You're not, so the joke just falls flat. And even if you were a comedy strip, the joke would still fall flat because merely acknowledging the media in which you exist doesn't make it funny. You need to have fun with the ideas and the concepts behind your chosen medium. Pearls Before Swine does that. Foxshot does that. Learn from them. So Mary and Mr. Villain Guy here both enter the diner, and Mary's first thought is that she's found the missing girl. So she instantly tells her waitress friend to call the police. But since the waitress wants to make sure at first by comparing the girl to the poster, Mary pulls her away from her job and drags her out the front door to check. That panel there is... well, there's something about the way Mary's grabbing the waitress and the expression on her face that creeps me out. I just can't put my finger on it. Oh, wait! I know it wasn't the creator's intention to do this, but Mary's overzealousness here comes across as really, really creepy. She sees a missing girl poster days ago, by her own admission, goes to a diner, and then thinks she sees the same missing girl there. And she is so sure in her belief that she instantly has her friend call the police and stall the girl and her supposed kidnapper, even though the poster is no longer there.
I don't need to compare the girl to the photo.
And I'm going to help them, whether they like it or not.
So the waitress stalls the girl with free ice cream while Mary calls the police to inform them of the situation. That strip ran on December 21st. Nothing noteworthy happens until January 8th. That's 2.5 weeks later. We spend 2.5 weeks watching Mary on the phone and the crook getting more and more impatient until he gets up and leaves, and then the police arrive. 2.5 lousy, stretched out weeks of this crap. Some people would defend it by saying, oh, that's just the way Mary Worth works. But you know what? I stop and I think about that for a second, and then I remember that Foxtrot had a much more emotionally interesting and complete storyline in only 2 weeks. And that defense of Mary Worth just kind of crumbles away. So the police catch this no-name criminal, and the girl is safe. And then we are subjected to another full week of Mary congratulating herself and getting congratulated by everyone she knows. Oh, and also a really, really in-your-face preachy message about doing what's right instead of standing idly by. Well, you know, that's a fine message, but can we get to it a little sooner next time, please? Maybe? Can we not take so long? Oh, and also, I should mention, we're still not done! The girl and her reunited parents come by and visit Mary, and oh geez, how long does this bout of self-congratulatory stretched out patting go on? I've been committed to insane asylums with less padding than this. Okay, the biggest problem with this narrative arc is that the conflict ends halfway through, and then the other half is everyone just standing around and congratulating Mary Worth. It's like if Die Hard ended, and then you had another hour of footage with John McClane filling out paperwork. Yes, it's probably what would happen in real life, but all this goes on for way too long here. Get the problem done with, and then move on to the next one. You can have your congratulations, but keep it short. That's one of the basic rules of narrative storytelling. Conflict and resolution, not conflict and resolution.
I tried to stall as long as I could.
She's mocking us. She's practically bragging about it to our faces. I gotta stop reading, or my life is gonna start to become just as stretched out as her is just by being in proximity to her. I'm your comic strip critic.
And I read the funny pages in the...